Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. I am Christian Pedersen, joined in studio by Coach David Ring. Oh, yep, nope. Also have to turn the right one on.
All right, here we go.
Hey, we are live. Bonita Silva from Scorebook Live and Tommy Morris might be joining us later on in the program. We've got a great amount of high school baseball and softball to talk about because we are one-ish weeks away from the end of the season and being able to say it is playoff time for the first time since 2019, Dave. It'll be 2 years.
It's amazing.
To the day of playoffs. So we're going to give you kind of a little bit of rundown on where we stand in all the divisions. Dave, as always, is going to have his dingers and walk-offs this week too, or just dingers?
A couple walk-offs.
Couple dingers, couple walk-offs. So what do you say, Dave? Do you want to tease out dingers for the end of the show, or do you want to treat people off the top
that's a good one.
To a little bit of the home runs? I've got all three.
I've got dingers, game balls, and walk-offs today, as usual.
Well, so your game balls we will get to interspersed throughout the division talk because we will come across all of these teams. So what do you say we go ahead and get just to Dave's dingers?
Give them this good stuff right away.
Give the people what they want, man.
All right, let's start off with Santana, man. They're on a roll lately. Jason Gonzalez, 2-run home run in their victory against El Capitan. Haven't talked about Helix a lot this year, but they beat Granite Hills. That was a big game for them. Granite Hills, one of the top teams in the county. Benjamin Haar, 2-run blast. Wyatt Lobb hit a solo job there. San Marcos, who Bodie's got number 1 in the county here, beat San Pasqual 2-1. Evan Sipe, who had a really cool interview with Bonita Vista earlier in the year. He had the 2-run home run that pushed them over to beat San Pasqual. Bonita Vista beat Eastlake 6-4 in 9 innings, and Daniel McElvany had a 2-run home run in the end of the game there to kind of propel them into a victory. Bonita Vista, as you know, we'll talk about here, could be possibly leading that league in victory. So we'll see how that ends out. And then Granite Hills beat West Hill 7-2. I thought this was a pretty crazy line. Austin Smith, 6 innings, 2 hits allowed, no runs, 11 Ks. And he also went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and a double. Whoa. That was some Shohei Ohtani. His best Ohtani impression, easily. That was impressive. All right, that's my dingers, my guy.
Bodie De Silva is now going to be joining us in the Zoom chat. So we'll give Bodie a second to magically appear right here, hypothetically. Bodie! Score.
There he is.
What up, Bodie?
The man, the myth.
The man, the myth, the legend, Bodie De Silva. Bodie De Silva, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right, you're going to have to not see me because it creates kind of an infinite little loop on my screen behind me, but we're gonna roll with this. Look, hey, we're trying new technology out here in the studio as we return to action. Bodie, we just got done with Dave's dingers. And I was suggesting that maybe this week on the show, we just do a run through D5 through open of kind of just a brief overview of where all the teams sit, top 10, looking at maybe top 5, who are some playoff teams to watch for. Sound good? So guys, right now, Calvary Christian, they are 12-2 and tied at atop with Pack Ridge at 15-4. Either of those teams, technically tied, so could be the 1 seed team to beat, or does somebody else jump off in the rest of Division 5 as being the team to top? Let's start with you, Bodie.
Yeah, I think those are the top 2, and they haven't played each other also, which matters for seeding because neither of them would have the flip at this point. I think Rock can also compete. And Calvin Christian has played good baseball as well. So I think there's a pretty clear top 4. I know Calvin Christian just got done playing Pacific Ridge, but those would be the 4. I mean, not that it's anything crazy, but those are the 4 I think that are clear ahead of the rest of the group.
I don't think I could have said it any better. I was just looking at the stats. Some of these guys, Calvary Christian, Pacific Ridge, there's some good hitters on these teams, man. I think
Well,
Bodie said it all right.
We've recently seen Rock Academy kids committing to Hawaii. Like, there's always talent interspersed throughout the lower divisions that people just don't realize. I think also it might be harder to hit for some degrees of power at these lower divisions because the harder they throw, the farther they go can sometimes be a very true reality that it's a little bit easier to get some launch off of a 90-mile-an-hour fastball than it is off of a 69-mile-an-hour fastball. To Division 4 we go. Mar Vista, they are alone in the number 1 seed. West Hills, Mission Vista, Holtville, and Mission Bay round out the top 5. Looking beyond that, we've seen some flashes from Mount Miguel this year. We've seen some flashes from Morse this year. Seems like that top 2 matchup of Mar Vista West Hills is kind of where this bracket is headed in terms of that. Anybody caring to take a team beyond that?
Mission Bays look solid for sure.
Yeah, I would look at a team like Morse. I know league-wise that some of their opponents are not going to give them the same points, but I was able to see them against Mount Miguel earlier this year. They were dominant in that game. They're a team that they're gonna hit a lot. There's not going to be power, but they're going to steal a ton of bases. I think that's a team that if they were to come up against someone maybe in the 4, 5, or 6 range could give them a lot of trouble. Now looking at the top there, I think Mission Vista is a team that they play in a really good league, so I think they'll benefit from that. They just took 2 out of 3 from Rancho Buena Vista. They competed with Vista. They swept Oceanside. They swept El Camino, which is huge. So Mission Vista would be a team I'd look out there. And then West Hills is a team that I think it's a unique reward in the power rankings where they play in a really good league. Then you see they're 2-10, but then you look through and they lost 3 to Granite Hills. They've lost to Grossmont. So they've played against the best and they've been competitive in a lot of these games. So I think that'll only help them as they get into playoffs.
Well, isn't that somewhat the cliche that's starting to develop in the bottom to mid-tier divisions? Only meant hierarchically, but that we're getting these 1 or 2 teams that will be all about strength of schedule and 1 or 2 teams that will all be about just a mass totaling of wins during the season, and they end up playing each other. I'd be really curious to know, what the track record there is, but I feel like Bodie's onto something solid that if you spend the year facing off against the best possible competition, you wind up decently prepared for whatever the playoffs throw your way, as long as you're learning something from all those games. Anything else on D4?
Yeah, I mean, I like Mission Bay, like I was saying. When it comes down to pitching, I mean, they got Stevie Chavez over there, who's been their workhorse. He's a senior. I think, they got 15 wins, so they know how to win, and that's one of the teams I think has a shot to keep making it through the rest of the playoffs there.
Yeah, you speak of Mission Bay, they're coming out. They just got swept by La Jolla, but you look at it, they lost by 1 run, 3 runs, and 3 runs. So La Jolla is a team that when we go a division up here, they're one of the favorites in D3. I think Mission Bay, that's a good call there.
I'm having trouble with Division 3 loading on the CIF website. Bodie, if you could call it up on your end. Oh, wait, no. Okay, we got it. Christian, number 1. La Jolla, number 2. El Camino, number 3. All 3 of these teams at some point or another this year I have seen receiving at least some sort of top 10 voting. Make that a little bit easier on Dave's eyes as I see him squinting to look at our screen. We're still figuring it out. Olympian, Southwest El Centro, Montgomery, Brawley, all teams that we have talked about in championship contexts in the last 3 years. You make it further down here and, you get to about 15 or 16 before I think you have a drop off in confidence that somebody could take it in terms of this is a pretty wide field. But like I said, these top 3 teams have all received top 10 votes. So what are we looking at here?
Christian's a lopsided team. I mean, they're really doing a good job this year. So I said I had them and La Jolla are definitely on top of this field here. I'd say I'd be surprised if Christian doesn't make it super deep into the playoffs with their pitching, Vaughn Major and Braden Ross. And then like Bodie said, I mean, La Jolla's got the pitching also. So I'd be really surprised if the pitching doesn't continue to get these guys kind of through the end of the playoffs.
Yeah, looking at Division Three, I've kind of talked about as a whole in San Diego this year the lack of pitching, but I think these top three teams all have some of the best pitching. Christian, you just mentioned with Von Major and Braden Ross; those are two Division One guys that both play great hitters, and they can also pitch as well. La Jolla has Gavin Graff, had a no hitter earlier this year, and El Camino started off really hot. As they got into league, they haven't played as well, but I think they're a team that definitely is in that top three. And then looking down a little bit, I think San Diego is a team. I'm really surprised to see that they're 10 that way. I think they're a team that if they get the right matchups, they can win a couple games and make a deep run.
Yeah, like you said, El Camino 6-6, which is in league, which is pretty surprising. They've won 20. They're 20-7 on the season, and they're 6-6 in league. That is a interesting line for sure. So what we should see, I mean, they've got guys like some of their hitters have more than 30 hits. I mean, it's insane. So we'll see what happens. I think El Camino could catch fire here at the end here, and probably what their overall record is showing, they'll kind of even it out in league.
Christian, to me, it feels like the first team that I can circle is we've been having the hypothetical debate about state and how we're going to do as a section. They're the first team on this list that I'm going through. Like, of course, they'll rep us very well at the state level tournament. I mean, there will be more as we move into the higher divisions, I'm assuming. But Christian just feels like a lock, stock, and barrel. Like you want to be invested in them. In Division 2, as you can see on the big board behind me, St. Augustine, number 1, Carlsbad 2, Steel Canyon 3, La Jolla Country Day 4, Mission Hills rounds out the top 5. Looking down past that, we've had a fair amount of teams in this other group right here with some signature wins this year and Division 1 talent. Best catcher in the county is on the 15th team. It's interesting. There's another Cerro San Diego in there. But again, it seems like for all of that depth, you could go 14 or 15 down in this division and talk about a potential upset. You then look at that number 1 and you're like, Saints has been mashing on a historic, like team-wide level. Is there any stopping them? Bodie?
Yeah, this is a division I'm really excited for. Obviously, we've seen so many of these teams ranked in the top 10 throughout. San Pasqual's one that I look at, and you see they're 2-10 in league. Well, those 2 wins are against Rancho Bernardo, who had a few weeks as the state's top team. A 1-run loss to San Marcos, a 1-run loss to Poway. If they can get a couple things to break their way, I think San Pasqual's a team that can make a run. But at the top there, Steel Canyon's really good. I don't think it's just going to be as easy for Saints as we may think, just because they're the 1 seed. Carlsbad has really picked up their play as of late. We know La Jolla Country Day can mash it. So this is going to be a really competitive division.
Dave?
Every team, top to bottom in this division, can play. The thing with a lot of these teams, you look at Parker, Ramona. I mean, San Pasqual, they've run into some really good teams along the way and had a really tough go at it. So, but I mean, UC has beat Patrick Henry. Mira Mesa can bring, they've got Jackson Betancourt. I mean, he can pitch against anyone.
They can win one.
For sure. I mean, Del Norte, they've got some studs. Kyle Becker's been pitching really well. When I look at this is the division I want to make a bracket out of, and I want to do 5 different brackets because I have so many different ways that this could go. But Carlsbad, to me, is the team that really we haven't been talking about. From all the players I've been working with at the facility recently, when they've been playing Carlsbad, they've been saying the guys up there throw gas. And there's a UCLA commit. I'm drawing a blank.
Finn McElroy.
Finn McElroy. He's a 2-sport commit for UCLA. He's going to play water polo.
Very rare.
He throws gas, from what I heard, and
because he's a water polo player.
Yeah,
that I guarantee you, if everybody didn't do travel ball but just played water polo in the off season for all the baseball players, pitching would be out of control in the next generation of high school athletes.
I'm pretty sure he's pitching in the next few days, so look out for that. And then Saints hitting bombs, Steel Canyon, strong
We should have
team.
Finn on the show next week.
We should have the whole squad, and then Finn could be the MC. He could take over your spot.
Deal. I'm all for that. I'm sure there's a lot of San Diego that would be all for that. What I'm hearing you guys say is that the bottom half of this bracket is on their best day with their one formation they got with their top guy. They can beat anybody. So look out. But then after that, there are maybe the top 3 or 4 that
who are deep in pitching
that have the second or third iteration of that lineup that still gets them a win. So
exactly.
It should ultimately be top seeds playing out, but don't be surprised. Insert the TikTok sound. Don't be surprised if one day and then it's, cut to University City upsetting somebody as a 15 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and with the double elimination format, that obviously will help those top teams. And maybe you drop one, but you got to come back the next day. You got a pitcher that your number 2 is just way better than their number 2.
We like that, right? The double elimination formatting of the tournaments.
Okay. Love it.
I guess I shouldn't have to say we, because Bodie tried to distance himself there from the Saints take that's just going to be straight chalk for them. I understand that this is different. Bodie works for Scorebook Live, not for us. You can follow Scorebook Live at SB Live CA. Bodie, let's do a brief filibuster before we get to Division 1 here, and just tell the folks what you are working on or what you got coming out for Scorebook Live and how they can find everything.
Yeah, so hopefully finished up later today. I'll have a breakout list of kind of the top 10 or so baseball players in San Diego this year. Last year, obviously such a short season, so there were a lot of guys that maybe if we had a full season, we'd know a lot more about, but there've been some guys that maybe as sophomores or juniors were hitting high 200s, low 300s, and have come out this year, power, hitting more 400s. So it's a fun list to be working on it, and guys that are striking out nearly 2 guys per inning, so a lot of good players that have popped up this year.
Dave,
speaking of good players,
yes.
I was looking at all the teams we made.
Okay.
And
you would like to take credit for winning that one again?
I think the final voting leans a little towards Team Dingers, but I might have to have you look also. Speaking of good players.
No, I'm checking right now.
Thanks for all the voting, guys. We almost got 1,000 votes for just ours, and there must have been almost 2,000 votes.
Dare I say, put it on the poll, is it easy to win a voting competition when you have 28,000 followers on Instagram?
When your team hits dingers like I do, there's no question. Everyone loves the long ball.
I'll tell you what, we can definitely do more and more and more of that list radio type stuff as we get back to a regular season next year. I am looking forward to not having all of this going on. Look, it's been a blessing to have sports back, but as Bodie can probably tell you, football was an absolute grind this year, getting that going, and then now doing this like doubling up on every weekend. There's 4 new sports going to playoffs. It's a little absurd. Bodie, yes?
Boys soccer championship today, yeah.
Hell yeah, Bodie. Are you
going? Was volleyball last night? Soccer today?
No, volleyball semifinals was just last night. It's not even championship.
That's what I mean.
But golf is also going on right now.
Lacrosse
playoffs are just starting.
That's insane.
It's insanity. Bodie, are you going to go to Torrey Pines game tonight?
I will be at boys soccer Cathedral San Pasquale Open Division Final.
Deal. I will see you there. You can follow Bodie at SD Preps or at SB Live CA. On to Division 1. So this is Open/D1. Open is top 8 seeds. So as you can see on the board behind me, right now Open would be RB, San Marcos, Grossmont, LCC, Sage Creek, Torrey Pines, Santana, Point Loma. Then Eastlake, Granite, Westview, Madison would be the top for the D1 playoffs. I don't know if I want to talk about that even being close to being set as like the Open Division playoffs, but
yeah, the only thing I would mention here is a lot of these teams have played each other throughout. So you got to keep in mind there's going to be a lot of flips. So if it were to start today, for instance, San Marcos took 2 out of 3 from RB, they'd flip them. Sage Creek took 2 out of 3 from La Costa, they'd flip them. Santana beat Torrey Pines, they'd flip them. So there's just until
so that's why I'm saying I don't want to necessarily argue that like, who's the team to beat in Open Division, but assuming that these top like 4 or 5 are pretty well set up there, maybe we're looking at 3 or 4 positions being able to open up and go into, flux. Let's still talk about the generalities of what you see across this 20-team bracket in Open and D1. Bodie.
Yeah, so for me, I've been pretty consistent about San Marcos and Grossmont are the 2 teams I trust the most with the hitting. There's not a ton of teams that have super deep pitching here, and San Marcos and Grossmont, it seems like every game they're hitting 3-4 home runs and just a lineup where there's no soft spot throughout. If you go down a little bit, Santana's a team I'm really interested in. They've won 12 in a row. The league play hasn't been great, but there's some talented guys there. And I think just because they're probably not going to get a home team, or a home game, you match them up against a team, a La Costa and Rancho Bernardo, who hasn't seen them yet. I think Santana can surprise some people here and could find their way into the winning side of the bracket.
Bonita Vista, interesting. They've beat Eastlake, like you said. So, I mean, everyone's playing each other.
Yeah, that 9-0 in league is pretty nasty for Bonita Vista. And I'm sure that's what coach considers mission success in terms of that year.
Yeah, this is going to go down to the wire. I mean, Eastlake's 8-1, right? Everyone thought Eastlake would be one of the better teams this year, and they are, but it's interesting to see them at the 9 spot right now. And I'm barely sneaking into that open division. A couple teams that I want to talk about that are really interesting this year. Cathedral Catholic, 0-4 in league, but have played really, really tough. They're a solid team. They've just been on the opposite end of a lot of really tight games. So they're an interesting team to me. Poway, same with them. You look at them, 6-6 in league. They're really, flip-flopping victories, right? They go from playing a tight game to losing a game, winning a game to losing a game. And so it's pretty similar to the last bracket we talked about. And then the other teams that I thought are really interesting, we haven't mentioned Helix at all or Scripps Ranch hardly. And Scripps Ranch is still really...
They've had a guy throw a no-hitter this year.
They have some tough pitching.
Yeah.
But they're 3-7 in league, right? Overall, really not the best record. They haven't played as well as they had in the past. So, but these are teams that know how to play in the playoffs. They have players from last year that were on teams with multiple victories. So I think that the bottom of the division, we can see a lot of those teams are going to be right where they are. The Cathedrals they're going to be right in the middle of the D1. It's going to be interesting to see if the East Lakes and the Granite Hills, Granite Hills 19-7 right now. It's incredible. They're hot, 10-2 in league. Those are the teams that I really would like to see duke it out to just battle for the last couple spots in open division here.
There are a couple of these teams in the middle to lower levels where I know for a fact guys have either had to make decisions between basketball and baseball or are trying to do both basketball and baseball. There was a little bit of spillover from football season and guys not having that normal winter to heal back up if they don't play a sport. So I would be very curious to reseed these if maybe a couple of these teams got an adjusted, let's scrub away 3 of those losses. Let's take away 2 or 3 of those losses because you just you didn't have the normal year's worth of people. I know that overall this has felt like schedule-wise, we got a normal football or normal baseball season, but this still isn't a normal baseball season in the 100% capacity. In terms of the upper bracket, I would like to just continue my blatant homerism towards Sage Creek and say them bros always got a shot at winning a title. I would love to see the Ascent go from, what were they, D5 5 years ago to now they're... Yeah, exponential growth curve there on that one. They're
every team has stayed in the same spot. They just keep going up a division, right?
Well, and I don't think, Bodie, let me know if maybe Foothills Christian in basketball. I don't know if there's many other teams that have made that quick of a jump up that many divisions and not had it be something where there was an individual All-American. Even CJ Verdell only took modern day football from D2 or from D5 to D3. They end up making it D2 ultimately kind of because of his era. But Bodie, is there anybody that comes to mind for you that made this jump?
Yeah, San Diego High basketball.
Okay.
Now up to they were obviously in those 3 divisions on their way up. But yeah, I think Sage Creek especially stands out because rather than what you talked about Foothills and obviously TJ Leaf being there, but Sage, it's really been just a group of there's turnover and the new group comes up and they're ready for that next challenge where they're now at the point you throw them in any game against any team in San Diego and you're like, they can compete.
I would like to send a sincere apology to Coach Baz. That was not an intended slight there. The San Diego High basketball community is truly like the golden standard right now for overall performance. Did they start in D5 or did their run start in D4?
D4.
Okay, so yeah, right there with it.
Really good, man.
And 3 championships, and not doing it with the deepest of depths in terms of actual basketball players, doing it with a lot of multi-sport guys. Fine, great. Readjusting to the lower half of this bracket, that is, it feels borderline unfair if Eastlake gets to be the 1 seed in D1.
Right.
Like that just. Yeah. You look at that's like Marcelo Mayer just turns around, he just has the bat in his hand, he's like, let's go. Like he's gonna just start
like
smashing.
You can intentionally walk me today.
Yeah.
I will add one thing, just looking at it. Westview's a team that really stands out to me. They after they swept San Pasqual last week, they were really closing in on possibly being the last team in the open division. They unfortunately got swept by Rancho Bernardo, and they lost each of the 3 games by 1 run. Westview's a team that I think has enough talent. Even if someone like Eastlake's in D1, I think Westview is going to make a really deep run this year. I like their team.
So, Bodie, I don't know off the top of my head, and apologies for springing this on you if you don't know either, but what exactly is going to be the state regional seeding? Is it going to be the all open teams make it? Is it going to be just the champions? Is it going to be the finalists from every division? Do you have any idea how that tournament's going to look out?
Yes, I can pull that up. I have it here in a second for you. I was looking at it, especially in basketball the other day, because, and it's been consistent that way, where the 8 open teams will be making it like they have been. It's going to be a little crazy. I think we're going to see more divisions, but as of now, it's the 8 open division teams make it. From Division 1, the semifinalists and finalists, and then for Division 2 and 3, champion and runner-up, 4 and 5, champion only. So as of now, it looks like there'll be 18 teams that advance. So that's good stuff.
To me, that's really interesting, hearing the semifinalists from D1 make it, because we could be talking about Westview.
Yep.
We could be talking about Granite Hill. Like that Bonita Vista could get in conceivably to the state tournament. Man, I'm pumped to hear how many teams we are going to get in this tournament. That's huge.
Love it.
Dave, you needed to get to some game balls real quick. Bodie, is there anything else before we get out of here for you on your end?
No, we got 1 week left of games here, and really excited as playoffs come close.
All right, Dave, bang through some game balls, and then we out.
Perfect. So as Bodie said, Santana has 12 straight wins, or 11. What was it, 11 or 12? They beat Bonita Vista 16-1. Got to throw some love to Davin Burrows, 3 hits, 2 RBIs. Tyler Begg, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Dean Landers, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Granite Hills, another team that we really... They are a strong team. They beat Valhalla 20-0. Ethan McNish-Hyder had 3 hits and a home run. Austin Smith, another day with 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Spencer Davis, 4 hits and RBI. Grant MacArthur, 2 for 3. Taylor Weigel. Hope I didn't do that.
Just commit to it. Don't even. You don't hit the question mark at the end. Just dive into it.
4 for 5. Alex Geibald, 4 for 5. I mean, geez, guys. That's have a day. And then I'll just throw out my walk-offs here. Torrey Pines beat Canyon Crest. Carson Williams.
We will air that on our Instagram because of you bringing that up. Yes,
he's getting a lot of love in the pre-draft rankings. He had a walk-off single along with Cole Wilson, had a solo home run in that game. And then La Costa Canyon. Bodie posted a video of this. It was a little bit back. La Costa Canyon beat Carlsbad in game 1 of their doubleheader. It was a Mark Prince walk-off RBI single, ignited by a Gabe Camacho game-tying solo home run. So lots of energy. I mean, if I had to go pick one team to go watch, I think it might be La Costa, just because of how fired up they always are. I love it.
And who beat La Costa routinely this year? Bodie, the Sage Creek, yes?
Sage Creek Bros.
Sage Creek took 2 out of 3.
The Bros.
Them bros. Dave can be found at DavidRing4 on Twitter, at DR Player Development on Instagram. He is the foremost authority in how to hit here in San Diego. I guess in baseball, not just in San Diego, because you will work with anybody, anywhere, anytime. Any new bling this week, or you because we didn't give the chain requisite love last week.
We didn't. No, I'm wearing every chain I have right now.
Okay.
All of them.
Okay, just bringing a particular mojo today.
Yeah.
Just bringing every single chain. Bonita Silva is at SD Preps on Twitter, on Instagram. You can also follow Scorebook Live at SB Live CA. They're putting together a lot of fun lists. Bodie's going to be out at some soccer games. Not at all showing off his homerism because he's not going to the Torrey Pines girls game. It sounds like just the guys game. So good on you, Bodie. Also saw you sneak in some lacrosse on your Instagram story. So Bonita Silva going through a cultural renaissance and expanding his sports borders.
You got it all at once. You got to take advantage.
The last couple of weeks. Exactly. When it's all at one school, you got to take advantage. Folks, thank you very much for following along. We will talk to you guys next week.